Hello and welcome to the Live Reality Games podcast and our coverage of Survivor Michigan.
Wait,
No.
no.
Oh my God, I'm so tired. I was so worried about getting the second part right that I blanked on the first part. Survivor Maryland, major conflict. Anders, don't be mad at me. And I am Naomi Calhoun. I am the co-producer of Survivor New York and all around loudmouth. And I am joined today by Steven. Steven, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's a wonderful day. I presented a paper into my entire department, so I'm dressed appropriately for that. Also, in line with my humanities background, I'm going to support the various business majors who are on the Chickasaw tribe. So here I am.
And you've lucked out so far, as they have not had to go to tribal council yet.
Yeah.
And with us today, the first player eliminated from Survivor Maryland, Natalia. Natalia, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's so exciting to have you here. We're super psyched to talk to you about the game and how you got involved. So let's start at the very beginning. What made you apply for Survivor Maryland?
Okay, so actually my best friend in college is a huge Survivor fan. Like, always watches it. I actually didn't really watch it that much, like ever actually. And one time I was walking around campus and I saw a flyer for it. And I was like, Jordan, we should do this. We should do this. And I was like, I know how much you like it and you can just guide me. And he was like, okay. He's like, let's do it. So we applied and he didn't make it.
Aww.
Which I know, like, for a hardcore fan, like, that's sad. And yeah, I happened to make it. And it was a little bit scary because it's like, okay, I'm on my own. But I mean, it was a fun experience and I'm glad I did it. That's just kind of how it happened.
Did you go to Jordan for advice while you were playing?
No, so actually we got into like a fight while Survivor started. So he wasn't helping me. So I was like, oh man, I really have to just figure this out on my own.
So you can blame Jordan then for everything that went wrong.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if I had known what I needed to do and it just been me, I would still be in there to this day, even though that was 4 years ago. But
you'd be the longest playing Survivor Maryland contestant possible.
Exactly, the ultimate survivor, if you will.
Well, I mean, let's get into it. So you apply, you get in, Jordan does not, and he's still bitter about it. It's fine, I don't know. But and so what did you think the first day you're getting did you like know what you were getting yourself into, I guess is the question. Did you know, like, you know, the fighting, the physicality, and also the sort of like mental pettiness? Did you know that you were about to throw yourself into the lion's den?
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't go into it without doing any research. That's not just like what I do. So during the summer before we started, I watched the Maryland seasons just because I figured it'd be easier to like relate to, you know, college students like me that also did the same thing. So I watched that and I kind of knew what to expect. So when they announced that we were doing Steal the Bacon, I was like, okay, I know what it is. I was like, I'm ready. Let's go. And yeah, that's how I prepared.
So you had seen the first 4 seasons. I think those were out by then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember now. It was so long ago, but I watched whatever was on YouTube then. Yeah.
Just take in all the YouTube content you possibly can.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I think, what everyone does to prepare for a live reality game. Is just watch as much as possible before you get out there. So on day one, what did you think of your tribe? That, like, you get there, your tribe's a little wacky. They're having a good time. What did you think meeting everybody?
Okay, fun fact, I ended up graduating in economics, so I didn't go through with the STEM
the
thing.
dark side of the force. Join us.
I joined the dark side. They messed me up so bad. I had to switch my major.
You said, I'm out.
Does this mean someone from the humanities wins the game if everyone else is flocking to that side?
Yeah, they just all converted. Technically, somebody from humanities has won because everybody converted from STEM.
Yeah, no, but so I show up. And I've always been social, like for a STEM major, I've always been very social. Like I can talk to anybody and I show up and I'm trying to talk to these people, but they're not as open as I am. You know, they're more introverted. And I was just like that tends to make me feel uncomfortable because I mean, yeah, it's just, I don't vibe with it.
It's hard, and I think, that's part of college too, right? Is meeting people with different social skills than your own and seeing who you can actually fit in with versus who you're like, okay, I guess I just have to be in class with these people every day and deal with it.
Exactly. Yeah, no, but I mean, it was fine. Then we got to talking. I remember Dale, she was social. Teresa obviously was also very social, which kind of like threw me off at first. And I was like, okay, I can talk to her, but I can't really talk to her because we didn't really get along that well. And yeah, Dane, I thought awkward. Chris, Tim, like very STEM major, like not breaking the stereotype. And Amanda, she was in the middle. Dog, very social actually. And yeah, that happened. And then when we went to meet the humanities tribe and Evan showed up late, I actually loved Evan. They didn't show that, but we had like a huge conversation. So yeah, Evan's my guy.
Evan is the most relatable college student I've ever seen. Just showing up 45 minutes late to something, didn't know it was that day. I was just like, hey guys, what's up?
Yeah.
I feel it's also the college student nightmare, right? You're just like, wait, the midterm's today? It's not tomorrow? What's going on? Like, I feel that's my stress room from college, at least.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of those. I have a lot of gym class. You forgot it was an A day, B day. What you're supposed to? That's like high school.
Yeah.
So we start off with Steal the Bacon, and well, not even before Steal the Bacon, we have that sort of like mini advantage challenge. And Eric kicks everyone's butt. But were you familiar with this puzzle? Did you think that you wanted to win this advantage? Is that something you were hoping to do?
I mean, obviously I wanted to, but once I got the puzzle, like, honestly, like if you look closely, you can tell I'm just shuffling stuff around. I was like, come on, make it make sense.
I mean, what can you do? That puzzle is like, I study it every time before I play a Survivor game, and then I immediately forget how it's solved.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh. Okay, so that must not have been in the Survivor that I studied.
Well, it's a really good, anybody who, runs the game knows it's a really good, easy puzzle to do. It's just 9 numbers on squares, and you put it out there, but it's really tough for people to solve, and that's what you kind of want in a puzzle.
Yeah.
And that's really funny that, I mean, also with the math, like, the STEM majors, the people who are really good at math.
No, but when I was looking around and I saw that everybody was lost, I was like,
It was interesting because Eric said, because he was in computer science at the same time you were, he's like, yeah, because I'm in computer science, I've done this like so many different times.
Yeah.
But his love of computer science might transcend yours.
For sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure he graduated in that.
Right. He stayed the course. So after this, then we have our, I think
Actually, I have one more question.
Yeah, please.
If you could have won that challenge, would you?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
And do you think you would have told anybody about the advantage, like knowing what it is now and seeing the power it has? Would you have told people what it was?
Definitely not.
How come?
Because well, knowing now that I was like, for example, missing like the whole dining hall hangout experience and like just not really scheming as much as I could have because I was trying to like get a read on the people there, I would have just waited out and see like where they were, like what their alliances were looking like, and if I had been in danger in that first tribal, I could have used it and stayed. But yeah, I don't think I would have shared it.
Keep it under wraps. It's always good for an advantage. It's just
yeah. Some things you just gotta keep to yourself.
Don't worry about the advantage I have. Just forget about it.
This is not the advantage you're looking for.
So we move on to Steal the Bacon, which I have to say, I thought it was hilarious how focused you were on like the points that Teresa lost, because I think I would have felt the same if I was on your tribe. I would have been like, bro, like chill out, like let's let somebody else go. It's not, the point of pride does not outweigh the loss for your tribe.
Exactly.
So I thought it was hilarious. I was the whole time I was like, oh, Teresa's going, man. I'd be so pissed about this.
And I'm surprised that other people weren't as upset. They like some of them were actually like, no, it was cool that she went up and it's cool that she's athletic and like we need that. And I was just like, are we all missing the blatant point here that she's why we're in tribal today?
Yeah, I think there's like and it happens in in Survivor games where like sometimes if somebody just has like a good, like, 40 pounds on you, you're done. It can't be stopped.
Every person who went against Abby, I'm just like, yeah, they're not winning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, she's just got so much strength, and you're like, oh god, you're screwed. And even for the boys too. Like, sometimes when just like somebody's got like a good, like, even 20 pounds on you, it's just like, oh, it's a wrap.
Yeah, or they're wearing cleats.
We were gonna talk about cleat gate a little bit too. Like, that just ouch. Did you have any like significant injuries from the steal the bacon?
No, okay, and I didn't really remember everything that went down. And when I saw me like dragging, I think it was Ivy, I was like, oh my god, is she okay? But yeah, no, I came out fine.
Everyone else looked really beat up, so that's funny. Fine. Don't worry about it.
So, following the challenge, your tribe ends up losing. What's going through your head, and did you have any ideas of what strategy you wanted to do?
No, not yet. And oh my god, it was so frustrating because I thought we're not even gonna end up in this position, because even though they say that we're not like the strongest, like Tim and Chris and like even Dane, like they're strong boys. And I feel like the Humanities tribe, I don't know, I didn't see them as very strong like in the moment. So I thought, oh, we have this in the bag. And it wasn't until like we were there and we lost that I was like, oh, like what do I do now? And I definitely did try to talk to some people, but I didn't really know how to approach it very well. And this is where my Jordan would have come in, right, and saved the day. But yeah, and sometimes I would like message people and they wouldn't get back to me, so it was just stressful on top of like the starting school stress.
Yeah, and Anders has to say, Natalia doesn't get hurt. She's above that.
Exactly.
So I think, something that was really interesting to me was this decision to go into the dining hall and exclude 2 people. And I don't know, Stephen, if you thought this, but in my head, I was like, I would never, ever exclude 2 people from a group hangout on the first day of a game, because the last thing you want to do is show 2 people like, hey, you are not important to us, so you guys just go over there and we'll talk to, like, we'll FaceTime with you. But like, to me, I would have, and this is probably like my like brain, I would have tried to find a place where everybody could go to, everybody could hang out. Like, maybe it's not possible. I know campus dining is a nightmare in itself, but I thought that was really strange. I don't know if you felt this at all, Natalia, that people would just agree to exclude 2 people and go sit somewhere to have a conversation as a tribe.
Yeah. I mean, that whole time we were walking together, so I didn't perceive it as something that could have been like pre-planned or something. But once we were there and it was like, oh no, we have to go into the dining hall. Like, I was like, why? Like, there's a lot of, like, look, we have McKeldin Mall is one of the biggest.
Right.
We can all sit there. There's also Stamp, which like if they were hungry, we can also get food there, and whatever, everyone can sit there. So it was kind of like, just in the moment, I just thought it was annoying. I was like, why? Like, we clearly like, and also they have guest passes, so it's like they could have used a guest pass.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of like, yeah, I'm just getting to know you. I don't really want to use my one guest pass on you, kind of thing.
Oh my god, that is so frustrating.
Because Sanders has a comment, do you know how much campus dining is cost? I'm gonna get my money worth. And as a former starving college student, I can understand that perspective. Say, hey, I only have the on-campus dining. I want to make full use of it. I'm not going to go spend money elsewhere. And was your entire tribe with you at this point? All 10 of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and with 8 people, it's like, hey, we have the dining meal. Let's just go use it. I can definitely see where it's just the path of least resistance. People are just like, yeah, let's go, and it's just it ends up exiling you and Dane.
Yeah, it was awkward, and I hated it.
Yeah, and I think, it's funny, the guest pass thing, because like, hey, you want to make a good impression on a person you could work with in the future?
Yeah.
Give them your guest pass. Like, how many guests are you bringing to the dining hall anyways? I don't think I brought a single guest to my dining hall my entire college career. So, I thought that was like, I don't know for you, Natalia, did that like throw up any red flags? I know that Dane, when you guys are together, sort of starts to get the wheels turning about potentially voting you out. But did you have any thoughts of like, this makes me feel bad and I think that I might be on the outs because of it?
No, just because, like I said, we were all walking together first, so it's not like something that I think they planned. Then we get there, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Fine. Like, if they want to play it like that and go into the dining hall and leave us out, but FaceTime us in, I was like, I guess I'm cool with it. It's better than just saying, like, throwing my hands up in the air and being like, never mind, I'm just going to go home because I don't really want to sit here and FaceTime or sit in the dining hall with you guys. So I was like, this is the most that I can do with what I have. So I didn't think it was going to be, like, a bigger thing. But I guess that's just me being dumb.
Did you talk at all with Dane while you two were in exile with each other?
Okay, so he's like a very like quiet guy, and I don't know if that like comes across fully in the episodes, but there's not much to talk to him about. Like, it's the type of thing where you're like, oh, so how about this and that, and he's just like, yeah, it's cool. Like, okay, give me something.
Maybe this is why Teresa was so adamant in voting Dane.
Yeah. So, I mean, I tried to talk to him, then it was clear that it wasn't working, and then we were FaceTimed in. And like I said on the like after show, I was like dealing with some other like roommate stuff, which also happened to be Jordan. He was in it without being in it. And
so not only did he not help you, he was directly responsible for your downfall.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's bring him into the call. No,
you guys need a rival. Anders, if you're still watching, we need a rival season with Natalia and Jordan as captains. I think it's a hit. 4 years later, but we can do it.
We can do it. No, but yeah, so then I got a little bit distracted with that just because I was living with 5 other people. That was kind of a mess looking into it. And I guess he just thought, oh, she's not interested. But it's like they weren't really even saying much either. They were just like, oh, where are you guys? Like, how are you? Sorry, guys. And I'm like, okay, so we're not talking about anything.
Absolutely. And you're kind of like hitting on what I struggle with sometimes in live reality games, which is like, I am so bored by some of these people, and I really can't believe we're wasting our time right now talking about this, but okay. And it's so hard to fight
there
that.
is a benefit from this. Even if you're bored senseless, you are preventing them from talking about you.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like by making sure you're not the one person not there, you're making sure no one is talking behind your back, and therefore no one's saying, hey, none of us are here, Natalia's not here, why don't we just vote Natalia, right? You're stopping that from ever happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing.
I mean, I think it's tough, and especially you only had 24 hours really to strategize and then go to tribal council. Like it couldn't be worse timing for you. And I think that like watching the episode, it's very clear that like because also you don't have a lot of time to do confessionals, and so we don't get a lot from you. I think even you're in the episode for sure, but like some people clearly like talk to Anders for like 8 hours straight.
Yeah.
And so it's really tough to balance like that work and social life, or just like personal and social within this game. And it just goes to show like how hard College Survivor is to do in the first place. 24 hours is even not enough time to like make a plan sometimes.
Right. And even just like for tribal, like I lived on the opposite side of campus. Like it was the craziest thing. I had to walk miles and miles just to get to tribal. And then just to get voted out.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
So my question was, were you surprised by this 6 that forms that essentially really decides your fate, which is Sadie, Delaram, Dane, Doug, Chris, and Tim? Because they have this conversation where they basically say, let's, Teresa or Natalia, what do we want to do?
No, I'm not really surprised. Like, I mean, in the moment I was, just because when I talked to other people, they were like, oh yeah, I don't know, we're gonna go for Dane or we're gonna go for Teresa. And I was like, okay, because like those are the people that also like I don't like. So it makes sense. And then when they voted for me, obviously I got picked. But I wasn't really surprised, because I really do think like I wasn't like vibing with them. And so like, why would they keep me around if they're not getting like really good vibes from me as well? So
were there any people in particular that you were talking to before the vote?
I talked to Amanda, Teresa, and Doug.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think I reached out to Dale and I was like, we should talk. And then like she didn't really get back to me. And I might have tried to reach out to Tim as well, but I honestly I couldn't tell you for sure.
Mhm. And were you pitching Teresa as a name, or was it just kind of understood that it was Teresa, or they were telling you Teresa?
So I was like, who are you thinking? Like, have you heard anything? And they'd be like, I'm thinking like Dane, I'm thinking Teresa. And I'd be like, okay, like I'm thinking Teresa as well. And like, it was so long ago. But
Full election cycle ago, apparently.
Well, I think what's interesting is you're not just saying, I'm voting Teresa.
Mhm.
You're saying, hey, what are you doing? And then when you are confirmed that Teresa's a name that's out there, you're like, great, I'll vote Teresa, which is like good strategy to sort of.
yeah, I also thought like, I first, like when I was there, I thought people were vibing really well with Teresa. But then watching the episode, I realized like, okay, some of them weren't so sure about that.
Mhm.
And just like, I wanted, like, just, it was obvious, like, okay, she made us lose 2 points. So I thought that was a good logic to go in and be like, we should get her out because of that. Because everyone else got a point. Everyone else did, like, carry the team. So for me, that's just logical that she should be out. But
Andrew's just got.
This is your
Natalia
4-year
got voted out
anniversary.
literally 4 years. Oh no.
oh,
Oh my god. Imagine being on a college campus 4 years ago instead of right now. Woof.
yeah.
Ugh,
Maybe it was a nicer time back then.
Yeah.
for like 2 months. And then everything hit the fan.
Yep.
So when you get to tribal council, like sometimes people have that moment where they realize it's me. Did you ever have that, or were you kind of shocked that it was you?
And I was kind of, I was still like shocked just because I
Mhm.
thought that was going in the Dana or Teresa direction. But when I got there, like everyone was kind of like huddled up, and you can kind of see it that they're like in the lobby of the building, and I'm just kind of sitting over here on the side. And I was like, this doesn't feel right.
Mhm.
I feel like something's gonna go down.
Mhm.
But then walking to like the actual tribal spot, we were talking, everything was fine. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just being crazy. But then it happened.
I just goes to show you, your gut usually can give you, like, lets you know what's going on in Survivor.
Yeah. I should have listened to myself more.
So looking back at how you played, what would you have changed? What would you have done differently now, especially since you've seen the episode and seen people's thoughts about Teresa?
Definitely just try, like I said, okay, so in the after show, I was like, next time I'm definitely just bringing $20 for me just so we can, eat wherever, be wherever. I'll be ready for that. And then when I'm there, I'll definitely try to like not stand out completely, because you also don't want to be that person that the spotlight's
Mhm.
on, just in case you rub people the wrong way. But
Mhm.
definitely try to be more involved and just talk more and actually try to build connections with people. And then yeah, just kind of really pitch the Teresa fact that it's like, okay, she didn't
Mhm.
get the points, and also like, how do we feel about her personality, and just maybe dig a little bit more to like really secure that idea of getting her out. But honestly, I think it really just came down to like me connecting with people more.
It's hard to do when you got a lot going on in your personal life. Like there's nothing, it's not it's hard to rectify when something is, really going to affect, the rest of your life, not, or, the rest of your time on campus, not just, a game you're playing in a club,
Yeah. It does take a little bit more priority, but honestly, like I felt like this, like in the cartoons when they're like patching up one hole, patching up the other one, and it keeps like exploding out from another hole. Like that's how I felt. Yeah, because I think also like that semester I might have been taking like 18 to like 21 credits, so it was just
That sounds hard.
Oh,
yeah.
oh
So
my God.
it was just a combination of things, but next time definitely just talk to people more and build those connections.
Mm-hmm.
Make yourself seem more trustworthy.
Well, has your experience in Survivor Maryland made you a Survivor fan, or are you like one? Do you feel like you're more one and done?
Like I would watch the college version just because it's like, I did that, and like,
Mhm.
wow, look at them. But the real one, I mean, maybe I don't honestly. I just don't watch a lot of TV either, so
Mm-hmm.
that plays into it. But I feel like the Maryland one definitely. The other one, we'll see once I get more bored in life.
Well, would you do another fan game? Like, because Maryland's unique, that's a semester long. There are other games that are a week long to a day long. Like, have you ever thought about trying your hand at one of those?
Yeah, and I would do Survivor again. So Anders, no, I'm kidding.
The
I'll come
Survivor
back for
Maryland
you.
alum season. We're waiting for it.
Yeah, Survivor Maryland grad school, I think, is what I'm looking forward to.
Honestly, that could be a move. But yeah, no, I'd be down because I do like it, and usually like I am good at that kind of thing. Because usually like in the friend group, I'll be like the schemer, which I know didn't show, but it's why I thought I might have it in me.
Mhm.
But next time I just need to come full force with it, and yeah, I would love to do something like that again.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when you're like, hey, I know I had this weekend to play this game. That's all I'm going to do. No phones, no nothing.
No
Here we
juggling
go.
tests or exams or
No
upset
21
friends.
credits. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Natalia, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we say goodbye? Is there anything else that you wanted to mention, or maybe even like anything going on? I don't know. Most people have nothing going on.
Or also, like, since the show aired, you said you graduated in economics. What have you been up to since then?
Economics, well, working.
Yay!
Yeah,
Working and money.
Staying inside so I don't get sick.
Mhm.
And I picked up rollerblading. Yeah.
Nice.
That's my quarantine hobby now.
Oh my God. I love it. Are you doing like those
extreme.
cool dances that people do on TikTok that I could never ever do?
I'm
people are
trying. I'm really
Dancing
trying
on
to get.
rollerblades?
Also,
Nice.
TikTok dances. I know I hate to say it. I'm one of those, but I know my boyfriend's like tired of me. He'll be like, "Okay, that's enough TikTok for today." But is it really though?
Can one ever limit?
Survivor Maryland needs to make a TikTok.
Oh,
This
man.
is what we've decided.
Oh my God, yes, like little snippets on there. Also, it might be good just for like promoting the show.
Anders,
On that.
get on it. We know you have a lot of editing to do for the next several seasons, but invest in TikTok.
Mm-hmm. And also,
all our favorite players doing a TikTok dance each day. It'll be great.
And also, like, I heard there's a new like Maryland show based on like Love is Blind. So we're inspiring people out here.
Wow, the world is inspired. Amazing.
But yeah, so I guess that's it.
Yeah.
For what I've been doing. But yeah.
Well, Natalia, it was amazing to talk to you. Thank you for
so much.
giving us your time.
Yeah, no, thank you guys.
We really hope you're well and that you stay well, and that we all stay nice and safe inside.
Yes, and catch me on TikTok once I master the dances.
Catch you on exactly. Catch Natalia on the Survivor Maryland TikTok. Every night, new dance craze based on the voted out player.
Exactly.
Natalia, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Naomi and Steven.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, we're gonna continue our discussion of the Survivor Maryland first episode. Steven, what do you want to talk about?
So I feel like with discussion with Natalia, we've caught a lot of the back end of the episode, really going into her gameplay and why she may have lost. It sounds like from her, she didn't feel like she fit in as well with the group. She missed out on perhaps key social moments, such as the exclusion from the dining hall experience, and that might have all led to her getting voted out. So yeah. I'd like to focus more on the first half of the episode now.
When chaos reigns supreme.
Yes. So let's talk about who I'm now going to say my second winner pick, who I've now appointed. First one, Morgan. Second one, Eric. Let's talk everything Eric. Because if anyone came in here with a strategy, Eric was the one who did. Who I think I wrote down, he said, go in and be really annoying. Weird is the best cover for weird, or something to that extent. Right. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
Yes. And I think like you had said, which cracked me up, that you thought he was going to Zayn Knighted and be the first one out, which I thought was absolutely perfect observation from you. Like he just comes in guns a blazing. And I feel like when I play these games, and I see someone like Eric, I'm like, I love this dude. Whatever his energy is, I'm fully in on it. Whereas, other people, I think in college, especially, you're like, okay, haha. Like, you meet a lot of kids who are like, my humor is being weird. And you're like, okay.
Well, there's the moment where like the STEM tribe assembles and they decide, let's go find the Humanity tribe, and they wander over. And Eric, I think on his own volition, goes up and says, "Do you want to join my Postmaster General Club?" And everyone's just like, "What?"
I think
both tribes are just so confused in that one moment.
Right. I'm still confused because I think it might be Toastmaster. It might be Postmaster. I think it's about public speaking. I genuinely have no idea. I watched.
Like it was a riff off of Toastmasters, but his own Postmasters version that he just made up on the spot.
Anders, please clarify in the comments. And I think that this is what's so funny about the whole thing is that like he's clearly fucking so hard with the Humanities tribe, and they don't know how to respond. But it's even funnier because you basically like throw them off their game before you can even start. And I think it really is like people have been comparing him to Tony a little bit, and I don't think that's fair. I think Eric is just trying his best to be as goofy as possible, whereas Tony's a little more showboaty and just like, okay, we get it. Thank you so much. I think Eric is like his own breed of interesting. Apparently it is Toastmaster.
It just amused me because I don't think he told anyone in his tribe. His tribe is like, wait, what's happening? And the Humanities is just like, they can tell that these are the other players in the game, but they're just like, wait, what? It's just such a everyone's just thrown off, and Eric is just running with it. And you're just like, yes, I'll live for this.
So funny. I loved watching it, and like I think Eric also. I think we talked about this in the cast assessment. I knew right away that Eric was a Smash Brothers player. I knew it immediately. And I love that he and Dane sort of have this like video game connection. And what I love even more is that Eric trusts Dane with the information, and Dane doesn't seem to betray him in regards to his extra vote, right? My blurring on my line.
We didn't see Dane telling anyone about that. Right. So I guess we should just move into, wrapping up Eric. I was very happy to see that while he came out guns blazing with the weirdness in those first interactions, he did have strategy for the rest of the episode, and he seemed like he knew what he was doing, and it was not being throw everyone else off their game. Exactly,
very controlled chaos.
Yeah,
and you have to like love it. He's so I don't know, he's so goofy. Like it cracks me up, and I think when you're on the tribe with him, you see him as somebody who might be, I guess maybe it's like you look at him and you think, oh, he's probably too honest. Someone like Teresa, where you're like, oh, she's probably too honest. She probably speaks too much. And you kind of trick yourself into thinking that he's going to be very trustworthy because there's no way that he's not going to be straightforward with me. Like this guy's just goofing around all the time. And so I think it breaks down the barrier of he might be sneaky and turns it into, oh, he's just having fun.
Well, I think to really understand what Eric did this episode, we have to go to the advantage challenge, the mini challenge both tribes did before they engaged in their tribal immunity challenge, where each tribe competed individually for some sort of in-game advantage, which turned out to be a steal a vote advantage. And Eric and I believe Liam both won that, correct?
Yes.
And
for their respective tribes.
If you're playing this game, Naomi, would you win that advantage? Would you go for it?
I think no. I think because there's the chance that it might be an idle clue, sure. But getting an idol that early is just a great target to put on someone's back. And if it's anything else, it's like, when Stephen Fishback jumps off the boat in Cambodia, jumps off the challenge in Cambodia.
Is to go get the extra vote advantage quickly in front of everyone.
Exactly. Like it's just so sort of public and so early in the game where like you don't even know where you stand. It's not even like you've had a conversation for like a couple hours. Also, Anders, I'd love to know why you called it the Dean's List.
I liked it. It's like, hey, this is Maryland themed, right? We're going academia. I expect this to be a sustained theme for the season. If it only appears once, I'm gonna be very disappointed. I hope someone's gonna be a summa cum laude advantage, something like that.
That's just, hey, you don't have to be on the poll at Final Six for like an extra 5 minutes or something like that.
Name it something fun and I'll approve.
So I think Liam is very smart in what he says when he talks about the advantage he won, which is he says, I'm gonna maybe talk about it later, but right now let's let it ride, and then down the line let's be aware that the target will be big because I have this advantage. But right now, let's just keep it chill. And I think Liam is very smart in how he approaches after winning, and then also just in general, I thought Liam was very good at connecting with people and managing relationships. And thank you, Anders. Major conflict. We need an advantage. Dean's List.
So yeah, because I initially agree with you in your assessment. Like if I was put into a challenge, say, do I want to win the advantage out of the gate that everyone knows about? I would be very hesitant. On one hand, I like advantages. I like free stuff. I like having a leg up in the game.
Love
But
winning.
I like a secret advantage. I like it being something I know about and I can then choose to share versus everyone knows I have something and that could be a problem.
Yeah, it's like I've seen this happen in a couple live games where it's like, hey, if you drop, we'll give you a clue to the immunity idol.
Yeah.
Or the hidden immunity. And so like if multiple people drop, then multiple people know it, but then your target is not as big.
Yeah.
Whereas like in this, it's one person out of 10 people winning.
Mhm.
And I think they talked about it a little bit in the sort of live recap, which you should all definitely go watch after you continue listening to this.
Including me.
But they talk about how like Liam and Eric are kind of in this spot where it's the exact, you got to kind of assume it has to be at least an equivalent advantage.
Mhm.
So you have somebody on the other tribe who you don't know how they're going to operate. You don't know what they're going to do in terms of who they're going to tell or what information they're going to reveal about the advantage. And if they reveal it, they're likely revealing what you have. So
theoretically, you don't even know who has another tribe. I think I remember one of the tribe members spills it to the other tribe member. The roommates. Remind me who they are again.
Well, we have Doug and Santi.
Yeah, I think Doug and Santi. I think Santi accidentally let spill to Doug, who on his tribe had the advantage. I think he let loose like, oh, Liam has it, and so I mean it's hidden information. So my next question about this advantage. So let's say Naomi, you win the challenge. You have this advantage. You read it. You learn that you have a steal a vote advantage.
I'm just so smart.
So first of all, are you telling anyone, or are you hiding it from the group?
It's a steal a vote.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would wait until. So you wait until you see if you're going to tribal or not. If you are going to tribal, you tell someone. You pick the person you think you have the best chance of working with. You say, hey, I have this advantage. It's for us. If you don't go to tribal, you hold on to it. And then you kind of like survey the group and you see if anybody comes to you asking about it. But more so you try and get a sense of like who wants to work with me. And then maybe round 2 or 3, you reveal it to somebody. I think you want to use it to see how many people are interested in working with you. If that makes sense.
Is it ever crossing your mind to lie about it? About what it is?
Yeah, I'm wondering what the lie could be. You can always send a fake idol clue, which I love fake idol clues so much. Stephen, what would you do? What would you lie about?
So I'm thinking, because I thought until we saw the post-tribal scramble that Eric was going to be in trouble, and it turns out Eric was fine. We didn't see his name pop up at all, which I was impressed about. I was thinking that it would be a chance to lie and say this is immunity I can play at the first tribal.
Right.
Like try to use it as a bluff situation. So not only do you get people not to vote for you at first tribal council, people then think you've used this advantage that's not good anymore. So I would be potentially leaning to something like this. So people think, first of all right, let's not target Steven because he has this get out of jail free card. Second of all, now that's gone out of the game and it's over.
And I think that's a really good idea. Also, you have so much access to like paper and typing up clues. Like if you want to go super hard, you type up a fake idol clue, you take a photo of it, you send it to some people, it goes around. And like you just let the chaos. You open Pandora's box with an idol clue. Like it. I think that would be, if you're trying to create the most chaos possible, that's what you do. But then it can always bounce back on you and say like, hey, I think nobody's found this idol. I think Eric must have it. So it's risk versus reward, really.
Yeah. So that's where I would think of going. So it was interesting how Liam actually does what you say. Liam, to my knowledge, doesn't tell anyone in this episode what it is. While Eric, on their hand, decides to use that as a way to bond with Dane, which I think also adheres to what you said, where if I lose, I try to find someone, I try to bring them in with it.
Right. And obviously, we know Dane and Eric know each other from playing video games together, and I love this alliance so much. And I think that Eric makes a really smart move here, and Dane has this information in his back pocket for when he needs it. But I think actually Dane is very smart in not telling anybody else, because you risk, if you go to someone and say, hey, Doug, Eric told me what his advantage is, then you essentially put the target on, hey, Eric trusts me enough to give me the information of what the advantage is, but also now I can't be as close to Eric because I'm giving this information to you and I have to seem loyal to you. Like it when you tell somebody what somebody else's advantage is, but you also want to maintain the alliance with that person, you kind of reduce your ability to connect with them because other people see it as a target, if that makes sense. So I think Dane is very smart to keep it under wraps and not tell anybody that he knows what Eric is up to.
Now, one thing I thought was interesting about it being a steal the vote advantage, Eric was really right when he said, this isn't useful right now. When he was talking to Dane's like, this is not a good advantage. It's not going to make me a threat or anything at the moment. For me, I feel like early game, extra vote, steal the vote, block a vote advantages are really pivotal for tribe swap situations because you can change an outcome of a tribe swap so drastically if you have something like that in hand. Right? Think of, let's say we're at 20 right now. We swap at 16. Now we have two new tribes of 8, 4 from each tribe. Eric, you want to be on Eric's tribe because Eric has the steal vote, and that could define a majority for your tribe. Right? Suddenly, I'd actually feel like maybe being more open with my tribe about this advantage because it makes me seem as such a valuable asset. They don't want to vote me out because it will put them at a disadvantage in a tribe swap situation.
You're totally right, and not to mention like, if they swap at a number like maybe even 15 and they go to 3 tribes,
3,
like
4, yeah.
You could be on a tribe with 5 people and, be down 2 to 3. And, you can bully someone into saying, hey, we have a vote steal, work with us anyways. Or, I think it's really interesting. And Liam and Eric are both in a great sort of position for a swap, as long as they don't swap onto each other's tribes.
So that'd be fun.
And I think that Dane is doing the right thing in that, like, let Eric reveal his information because you want people to like the people that you like. Dane is in a good spot. What benefits Dane the most is getting Eric into a good spot with him without being the one to force it, if that makes sense. Like we see Nicole Franzel on Big Brother right now is like, hey, do you guys want to include Ian? And they're all like, I fucking guess. I don't know. And whereas, like, if Ian is able to sort of push himself forward and he doesn't need Nicole's, like, sort of big sister bringing her little brother along energy, he can be in a better spot and people can trust him more. But people don't trust Ian right now because he's just being dragged along, So similarly, if Dane just drags Eric into the 6, then Eric is less trusted by the 6 than if Eric proves himself as trustworthy and the 6 want to bring him in.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the last thing about Eric's game I want to talk about is where we saw him in that post competition scramble. The answer was surprisingly not much. We saw him talk to Dane, show the advantage of Dane, mention wanting to work with Dane and Dalaram, but we saw like these. we saw this majority of 6 appear, and Eric was the only guy absent from that 6. And that was concerning. Where it's like, okay, we see targets being thrown at least this round on girls, so it's between Natalia, Teresa, and Amanda. But if once we vote out a girl once, is it going to switch to being a guy, and is that going to make Eric seemed like the weakest link? And again, I feel people were walking on glass shards this episode and very unwilling to make waves at the moment. But it was like, oh, this feels bad for Eric.
It's a really good point because Eric is the only man who's not included in this group. And what I think Sadie and Dalaram can sort of say is, well, we need to get rid of a guy this time. And that guy would be Eric. And so it benefits Eric that Dane is in the alliance, but at the same time, Eric being the only person who's not in this alliance, in a group of, I think, really strong guys. I mean, Doug and Dane really have such like this really powerful social game. I actually thought, like, Dane, Natalia talked a little bit about how she didn't feel like she could really trust him, and Teresa feels the same way. But I think that Doug really has this like killer social game, and whatever Doug wants to get done is probably going to get done.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Like, you're saying I agree with Doug on a social game, but Dane, the fact he got 2 votes, right? Yeah. So he gets both Teresa's vote, who's just like dead set, I'm voting Dane no matter what, to try to stop me. We're like, wow, okay. Mainly because Dane just didn't give off a good first impression to her, from what I gather. And second, you have Chris, who then votes for Dane too, the be in solidarity with Teresa. You're like, oh. And like even from talking to Natalia, Dane, it sounds like even she was hearing Dane's name being thrown about. So I don't know why his name is getting pandered around so early, but it is kind of worrisome.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what's also interesting is the 3 girls that are not included in this alliance are, Natalia, obviously, but Amanda and Teresa are the other 2 women who are not included in this group. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see if Sadie and Delaram want to lose Teresa or Amanda, or if they are like, I guess it's really, I think what we're going to see in the next few episodes is whether or not Sadie and Delaram want to lose the other girls on their tribe.
I'm going to counter that. I think we're going to see something else. So if you look at the 6 has a 4 in it. That's Doug, Chris, Amanda, and Tim, which was the South Campus Dormitory Alliance. And I got a sense the next preview, people were kind of figuring like, oh shoot, they all live with each other. Like, and so I think the fact you're going to maybe you have Dane, Sadie, and Delaram kind of like, oh shoot, I don't know how comfortable we are in like the 6 or so when you have this tight group of 4. I mean, this tribe's already at 9, right? Yeah. If let's say they vote out 2 more people, so let's say they vote out Eric and they vote out Teresa. Suddenly, if you're Dalaram, Sadie, and Dane, like you're kind of like sitting in a 3-4 minority.
Yeah. It's totally true, and I think that I would be interested to see if Sadie and Delaram target Amanda, because Amanda has made it pretty clear that she doesn't really want to work with any of the women. So it's like it's tricky, you know. Do you try
in that 6, but because her other threesome of Doug, Chris, and Tim all are, I think it's going to start raising some alarm bells.
Exactly.
To Andrew's comment saying the 6 doesn't include Amanda, Eric, or Teresa.
And God, how the numbers dwindle so quickly. Like immediately there's a 6 out of, oh God, a power 6 is such a dangerous.
And of course, this is like a long-term problem. If you think that we're going to be in this tribe till the merge, like if we're going to have to vote out 4 of the 5 people, this is where you start to think about. But if you're like, well, I think we're going to swap it, let's say 17, 16, 15, then you don't need to worry about that. You can say, hey, as long as we show tribe cohesion and we kind of vote out the easy members so we're all in the same boat, life is good. But if that's not happening, you need to take that into account.
Yes. So let's pivot to the Humanities tribe, Chikasha, who does not go to tribal council. They did it. And I think for me, what's really interesting is just I love Santi so much. And I love watching Santi just be like, yeah, I know this person. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Blah, blah, blah. Like, just like brushing every sort of connection he's ever had off to the side. But also, like, do you think this is a good strategy to tell somebody, hey, I know this person, but don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't even worry.
I thought a lot of the discussion post-competition for the Chikasha Humanities tribe was very much around these pre-existing relationships. And I feel like Santi was this protagonist we were following as he's realizing the pre-existing relationships with all these other people he's trying to get to know and trying to figure out, like, wait, so you know you and everything. And I felt like people were actually pretty open for the most part about their relationships, especially the roommate situations that we have this season. I'm trying to think. I thought the most interesting one was Jasmine and Liam, because they're both in the same frat with each other. And they both said, oh, no, like, we're in the same frat, but we don't really know each other. But then they're like, yes, let's work with each other because we know each other, right? So they played it down to everyone, but then went to each other and said, no, let's work together.
I have to say, I think that the Humanities tribe has, whereas, you know, Pascale has like a 6. Humanities has like these little, like the, you know, the very intense Venn diagrams people make for like alliances. That's what they have right now. And it's like day 2. and I'm really excited to see if they go to tribal council where these Venn diagrams sort of overlap and who wants to vote with who. Because right now we see a lot of people who, like you said, Jasmine and Liam were working together, but then it's like Jasmine and Morgan and like Angie and Mike, like all these like little little tiny alliances, these really like tight pairs.
Trust clusters. No, wait, let's not use that term.
And I'm super psyched. I kind of hope Chikasha goes to tribal council next time because I want to see where their lines are.
Yeah. It does seem much more fractured, much more emphasis on voting blocks at the moment. While we had a lot of discussion of people throwing Evan's name out because he showed up late, he seems less committed. It's kind of the easy outlier. I did appreciate in the next episode that might be too easy. And now that we're more than 48 hours in the game, people are thinking more like, okay, really, who benefits me and who isn't?
Right. There's a point where Liam tells Jasmine that Ivy is hesitant to boot Evan.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting where, is Ivy going to fight for Evan, and could that possibly fall back on her? What's going to happen? I think when Evan becomes a name that might pick up steam, I think that'll be really interesting. Who sticks their neck out for him?
Naomi, remind me, who was your preseason winner pick?
I think it was Sadie.
Okay.
I don't know, but honestly, Sadie and Jasmine, I think kick major ass. Yeah, major ass. I would definitely major in ass if I went to college nowadays, and I think I love both of them, and I think like there's a lot of really, really strong women in this season who are just like, you can see the gears working constantly in their head. Like we see Sadie and Delaram really kind of get this group together that forms the sticks that essentially gets Natalia out. Like the sort of power, I think, is actually very centered around women making decisions, which is really exciting for me. I love it. You love to see it. We stand all the queens of major conflict.
Hold on. So and help me wrap myself around this first vote for the STEM tribe. I know we finished talking about Pascala STEM, but I'd like to touch briefly. Why was a female targeted so quickly off the bat? Was it just like they did this really strength-based challenge and therefore it's like, oh, we need to keep the tribe strong? Or is it simply that Natalia just ended up lacking the connections other players did?
So I think for me, what I see as like, so what I see as some things is like, when I say that I would have targeted Teresa, to me, it's not that Teresa's weak, it's that Teresa doesn't know her own strength. You want people who know what they're good at. It's the same as if Teresa was like, I'm great at puzzles, and then completely blew a puzzle. You want somebody who understands their strengths and weaknesses and would therefore be very reasonable in where they put themselves in a challenge. Natalia obviously having some conflict in her personal life that sort of, I think if Natalia had like 2 or 3 more days, the vote would be very different. Yeah. But I think because she does not have enough time to socialize, and because I think Dane looks at Natalia while they're at that dinner and goes, she's not really paying attention. This is a great, easy first boot. Because I do think in Survivor Maryland, and we've seen it in other college survivors, when somebody isn't interested in the game, it's really like they'll just quit like pre-merge, but like right when you're going into the merge and you need the numbers and they just quit and you're like, crap, where did this person go? And not knowing Natalia, you might sit there and look at her and say, I don't want her to quit halfway through and leave me sort of,
she's not a good investment for my game.
Right. Whereas Teresa, they talk about it a lot in the 6, Teresa's more invested. And that I think is really where it kind of comes down to, because Natalia's lack of investment, not intentional, really just kind of screws her in a way that like Dane, I think, really latches onto and is like, all right, I'm going to get her. Yeah. and takes her out. But I'm curious if you had any other thoughts about like how Teresa avoids getting the boot here.
From the screen time, we saw Teresa, for instance, having the conversations with both Doug and Amanda and kind of saying, I really want to work with both of you, even though, Amanda, you're my number one. And Doug's like, what the heck? I think just you see more of those one-off conversations, or at least those small group conversations where she's kind of pitching herself and pitching her target, even though everyone's just like, why is she voting that way? I don't understand. I think that made her seem better to keep around, even though people were kind of focused on like, wow, she really rubs us the wrong way.
Exactly.
Um,
And I think, Teresa, I love Teresa. Don't get me wrong. I would have tried to vote her out, but I love her.
I
And
would vote her out in a very appreciative, nice way.
because I love her energy. I mean, as a viewer, I am really hoping she goes far, because you want these people who are invested, who are opinionated, to just chug along and be like, I'm going to vote this person out because I don't give a shit. She's not even going to vote with the majority in this vote. She knows I believe she knows Natalia is going, and she's like, I'm voting for Dane. Who cares? And you're like, I love this. I love this so much.
She persuades someone to vote with her.
Yes, and so maybe we can talk about this. The Chris voting for Dane is very strange to me, and I don't fully understand it. I think Anders talked about it a little bit, and I still don't understand it. Why do you think Chris votes with Teresa to vote out Dane?
I'm glancing my notes, and I don't feel like we got a lot of information. I mean, we had Teresa talk. So I think the most we saw or heard Chris beyond just that four group alliance who all live in the same dorm with each other is when Teresa starts hunting down potential alliance members, and she does this in, I feel like, a very STEM approach. She's like, here's what each person can contribute to me, and here's why I want them. And she's like, I want Chris, and here's what Chris can potentially bring into my game. And she like specifically targets him and does a good job in bringing him in, apparently.
And
That's what I got, though.
I think if Chris is doing one thing, he's possibly ensuring that the vote doesn't go to Teresa if Natalia somehow is an idol. And I expect that we'll hear more from Chris next episode, but I'm curious to see if this will have ramifications. If it's like a hinky vote in Survivor or Big Brother, like, are people going to be like, who else voted? Yeah, I mean, I would lie about it. I love lying about votes. It's so much fun. But I'm curious to see if Chris thinks this is a big deal, and if he sort of says to himself, like, I should lie, or he just says, no, I did vote for Dane. And if Dane is going to be pissed about that because they're in an alliance together, technically. Like, what happened? So I can't wait for episode 2. It's going to be absolutely nuts.
So I want to jump back to the Chakasha tribe because I totally derailed us, and I apologize.
It's okay.
There's
no order to things. We all know what happened.
I know, right? I was very happy to see my winner pick Morgan going to Idol Hunt. I don't understand why her cryon is Cat Lady, but I'm all for it. Cats are amazing, and so is Morgan. So I am rooting for her and her now tape alliance with Jasmine from their weird Idol Hunt. And I don't even know where they were. They looked like some art room on campus that they were digging through.
Yeah. So in the recap podcast, Anders had said that they're at like a rock climbing. So I don't even know. And first of all, such a bougie campus to have a rock climbing wall. But not to mention, so they are essentially in the completely wrong spot. This was confirmed by Anders. They are not looking in the right spot. They just had such a weird layers of convenience that accidentally matched up to the clue. But absolutely in no way was this where the idol is located. And this tape alliance being formed off of literally lies and misunderstandings is amazing. And I love them so much.
And they're bringing more people into it next episode. I'm like, yes.
Oh my God. And I love alliance names on College Survivor because they're so goofy and they're so funny. Very much like Nick Wilson in David vs. Goliath. Just what's the weirdest alliance name we could possibly have? Let's do it. It's like the Tape Alliance. And but it is a great alliance name because if anyone hears that, they're like, tape? Okay. It's not like the Slick Six or something. It's not like there's no number in it. It's a good alliance name. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited to see, especially Jasmine. I think Jasmine really has her head in the game. Mm-hmm. And Morgan is great too. Morgan is really thinking hard. And I'm really excited to see what they choose to do going forward.
Jasmine has her fingers in all the pies right now, right? There's the initial alliance between Liam, Santi, Jasmine, and I want to say Mike. And they wanted to bring in Abby, and and there's part of them with idol hunting together. And then Liam and Jasmine have that tighter connection with each other. And there's Jasmine and Morgan together. So I feel like Jasmine's in a good spot with how disparate things are with the Chakasha Humanities tribe.
Yeah, and I think to talk about Mike for a little bit. Mike, I think, is really coming across as the alpha of the tribe, but he's not rubbing anybody the wrong way, as far as I can tell yet.
But people seem to be coupling him with Abby so quickly.
I think it's the Quidditch thing. I think it's partially that they're the strongest of the tribe, possibly. And I don't know if his alpha position is going to help him all that much, but he reminds me a lot of like the people on Survivor, like just like a Brendan Shapiro, if that makes sense. Not in any sort of character way, but just like, this is our alpha of the tribe. We know this. We like him. He will have to go at some point. He's very strong, and he helps us win. And we love him for that. Like, they're like, this is our strong boy. And so I think I'm very curious to see if people stick with him, or as soon as there's a swap, as soon as it comes to the merge, they're like, all right, Mike's, we got to get him out of here.
Mike couples himself with Abby, so maybe it's all Mike's own doing, and Abby's just Abby at this point is blissfully unaware that this is happening to her in this episode.
Yeah, and I think also Mike wearing a Yik Yak shirt really just took me back. Like I cannot man, I had a Yik Yak. What
you disappointed that when the STEM tribe went to the Humanities tribe at the very beginning, they didn't all dab together? Yeah, exactly. I was like, wow.
I don't think dabbing was a thing when I was in college. This is such a weird road for me to go down right now, but I don't think it was.
This is like a 4-year time machine.
It was a lot of whipping, a lot of nay-naying. I don't think it was a ton of dabbing. I think dabbing was like right after. But Vine was a huge thing. I hope somebody's wearing a Vine shirt. Rip Vine. So is there anything else that we want to cover before we sort of wrap up our closing thoughts and think about what's going on? Is your winner pick still Morgan?
My winner pick has always been Morgan, but I will have the backup of Eric. I don't feel Morgan had a quiet episode. Like, so if you were thinking more traditional, like winner edits, I don't feel like Morgan got one. But then again, I suck at reading winner edits to begin with. So maybe this will be the sleeper victory for her.
I also think winner edits are a little bit harder in a Survivor game where people might not contribute all that much footage depending on how busy they are in their daily lives.
And I think college survivors tend to be more generous and even with the time they spread among players. I feel like they do a better job to give a more balanced aspect. I have not seen a college season where it's like, oh my gosh, it's the such and such show where it's so dominating. Right. Like, well, how can this person lose now?
Exactly. No, we have no sort of opening confessionals like, Chris Thomas being like, you either live long enough to become the villain or you die the hero. So
yeah, exactly.
We have no blatant winners at it as of yet. But I do think I was super excited by this episode. On the edge of my seat. I really thought Teresa was going, so I think Anders, great job at the sort of misdirect. And Natalia's voting confessional was freaking hilarious.
I liked her exit interview confession. Yes. That was my favorite too. And
then at the end, we have a little glimpse at Queen Victoria. She had to come. She had to do it to us. God, you gotta love her. And this is my favorite part. Also in the first challenge, just spotting how many alumni you could see in the Steal the Bacon challenge. Anders, I would love a total tally on who was there, because I was like, I see Micah, I see Evan, I see this, I see that. I was paying more attention to them in the background than I was to the challenge.
Yeah, because like All Stars was spring 2015 semester, and then this season's fall 2016, I want to say, because it's the election season.
Yes.
Yeah. So we might have had some people graduate, but we still.
All Stars. I think All Stars is fall 2015, because then you have obviously.
Oh, you're right. My bad. I totally forgot about this previous season.
It's all right.
What is chronology? I don't know.
It's also like 2015, and nobody remembers that.
I don't know. So I don't remember anything that even happened last week.
You know what it is? I just remembered how drunk they were on Halloween in All Stars. That's why I remembered it. So we will be back next week to talk about episode 2, which airs Monday at 7 p.m., I believe, or was it 5 p.m.? It's going to be a time.
Monday evening.
Subscribe to the Maryland Generation 2 YouTube channel for, they do episode recaps. They talk about what happened with interviewed, they talk about with the exited players. And they have some great people from other survivors, other colleges coming on to talk about them too. So please go and subscribe to their channel and check them out and support Live Reality Games on Facebook. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on Spotify, where you can listen to this podcast if you don't have time to sit in front of your computer for an hour. And Steven, is there anything else you would like to say about anything in the entire world before we wrap up.
Anything in the entire world, my gosh, such power.
What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Rocky Road.
Wow, brave, very brave.
And from my tie, I've been officially sorted by the Harry Pottermore as a Gryffindor. So this is why I'm wearing the Gryffindor tie today.
And I'm a Slytherin, which is why I don't have anything in my closet that would match that color. I don't know. So also, just a quick plug, Survivor New York Season 3 is coming out on September 25th. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Survivor New York. I'm very excited about this season. I'm going to be podcasting about that eventually at some point. So please tune in to our recaps and like us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Survive New York. All right. Thank you so much, Stephen. It was great to talk to you once again. We're going to have a kick-ass time, but we're going to end this broadcast right now. So watch episode 2 coming out on Monday. And good night, everyone.
Hey, bye, everyone.
It's 4:00 in the afternoon.